is inclusive of Divine City, English Avenue area. We also had, we funded for improvements for approximately 60 homes. I'm sorry, something popped up on my screen. Forgive me. And represent almost 20% of the owner-occupied homes in English Avenue and Vine City. So we know a lot of times that we recognize that there's been challenging or funding to kind of help, kind of maintain some homes. So we are very excited about this program. We also did an RFP. We can go to the next slide, Michelle, I think it is. Issue for the redevelopment of 24 for sale homes. We selected 4 developers were selected through the permanent affordable through community land trust model, partnering with On the Rise, Westside Legacy, and the Residence Home Buyer Readiness Program info sessions. Okay. And one of the things I wanted to talk about too is kind of one of our issues will allow us to do some small multifamily rental housing. And what you see before you is a couple of our developments that we did utilizing some of our financing, our TAD money, and the Vine City Housing Trust Fund money. So 694 700 Del Vigny, there was an RFP issued to redevelop a 12-unit multifamily property, reaching out for available households at the 50% AMI, with rent caps capped at 30% of income. And Quest was selected as the developer. And so that's kind of like a visual of the finished product. We also had 507 English Avenue. Again, for the properties that we owned at Invest Atlanta, we have to do an RFP in order for those properties and sites to be developed. And so you'll see a lot of RFPs when we're doing those that we have owned in our portfolio. So we issued to develop 6-unit multifamily project available for households at or below 50% AMI, and the Westside Future Fund was selected as a developer for that. I won't go, next slide, please, Michelle. I think we've had conversations about the community engagement requirements, and you guys, I mean, we talk about it, as you're aware, that we want to ensure that we're reaching out to our communities, and developers are reaching out so they can identify developments that are coming into the communities, and we can respect your input and on that. So we've talked about the process in a prior webinar engagement that we had. And so I won't go into a lot of it, but we are working to kind of revamp these a little bit. As stated before, there's a link that we have on our website. I'm excited to announce that. We have actually put our applications on our website. And so now all developers interested in doing any kind of, financing for our multifamily, single family through our Westside TAD and other incentives that we have, excuse me, not Westside TAD, all TADs, and our other programs, they will go onto our website and submit their application for some preliminary questions, and then we'll move forward if, as we continue the conversations with the developers. And so within that is also the NPU process. So we thank the city for allowing us to kind of assist us with working through this community engagement to ensure it goes smoother, and you just don't have developers kind of calling you for last minute, that there is a process that we put in place. And so we're really, excited and appreciate the relationship with Leah and her team to ensure that goes smoothly. Michelle, you can go to the next slide. So what this shows you, this is a slide that the potential developer has to fill out in order to meet that and submit it to the city. They'll get a response back telling them who they need to reach out to and coordinate those schedulings with you guys in that meeting. I know we'll probably get a lot of questions, but we'll wait, I think, Michelle, to the end if I'm not for sure. But I wanted to kind of talk about the timeline, which is next. So we have a transitional approval schedule or a timeline. The next slide, please. Sorry. And so, it's not like they submit an application, we're ready to go, let's just do it, right? So there's a process. So we ask that applications are submitted on the first Friday of the calendar month. Of course, we get them there. They are open applications, and we may get them periodically, but kind of to adhere to certain time frames. We also, our internal meeting, so that gives us time to kind of review the application, meet with the developer if we have any questions. Our internal team meets on the first Wednesday of the calendar month to kind of discuss the developments and make any recommendations that we have or that they may have, want to maybe ask for a little bit more. And then if everything goes well, depending on the funding incentive, it may go to our housing committee, which for Invest Atlanta, our housing committee, they are able to approve transactions that are $1.5 million or less. And that decision, they meet on the second Thursday of the month. We also have on that second Thursday of the month, our TAD committee meets, and then also our economic development committee meets on that second Thursday of the month. And so if it is a housing deal or something that's not related to TAD, they will go to the finance committee meeting, which meets on the Monday preceding our board meeting. And this just kind of, and they make a recommendation to our board for approval, or they don't. But that is our process to get to the board. And then our board meets every Thursday of the calendar month, as long as we have agenda items. So if we don't have any items, of course, they won't do that. And then this really is more of a taxes and bond process when it says about application to bond inducement, because a lot of times developers want to know, how long does it take to get it closed? We're like 3 years. No, but we give them a time frame to get to the closing. And so just to get from, if it was a taxes and bond, to get from application submission to inducement could be approximately 45 days. But yeah, you can go to the next one, Michelle. So bond closings do take a long time. They could be as low as 6 months, all the way up to maybe 3 years. So we're closing things every day, it seems like, here at Invest Atlanta. So we're excited about all the development coming along. So one of the things that I want to talk about is community partnership, working together to create an economic impact for the city of Atlanta. And it takes all of us, right? It takes the developers, it takes MPUs, takes Invest Atlanta's financing, and this is how we impact the city. So we just want to say thank to you guys for your commitment also as MPUs, and the time that you spend ensuring that we are meeting everyone's need as we can and allowed in the city of Atlanta. Okay, Michelle. What you see coming for you now is our affordable housing incentives. I'm not going to go into detail about a lot of the financing, because I know we'll talk about that at another one of our events that we have coming up. But as I was talking about the taxes at bond, it's a financing source where IRFA, we issue taxes at bonds to make below market interest rate mortgage loans to developers for rental housing. And this is done through IRS Section 142 requirements that they're admit to percentage. So you'll hear us, a lot of times you hear developers come in and saying, oh, we're doing 40% and 60% AMI or 20% and 50% AMI. A lot of that is relative to the taxes at bonds and our other incentives. And so the next one is the Housing Opportunity Bond Fund. That was issued in 2021. It was actually a $100 million bond fund that was issued. And there's 2 tranches. So the first 50 million we have set aside, we put it in, there's several buckets of this, which is the housing opportunity multifamily. We have one that they can get up to 1.5 million in financing. We also have one that is for small multifamily developers, that we consider that at 70 units or less. And the developer could get up to $700,000 for small rental development. We also have one for single family development. A lot of times we know in the city of Atlanta, sometimes we don't have enough housing inventory. And so we're encouraging developers to do some single family development in the city, and also to rehab some of the other homes that are already existing. And so this is another funding incentive that was created out of that bond issue to assist with that financing. And then, of course, the Vine City Housing Trust, and those funds can be used anywhere in the city of Atlanta unless they already have a funding incentive that is restricted geographically. And so Vine City Housing Trust Fund is one of those that is restricted geographically. It's only for Vine City English Avenue. This was created back in 1989 when we did the first bond issue, the Housing Trust Fund, when they did the first dome. And so this was created in order to put financing into the Vine City English Avenue neighborhood. So there was a couple of developments. I think Northside Plaza was one of them. And also it used to be Courtyard at Maple. I'm not sure what the name is now. That was the multifamily portion, but then there was some single family development that went in the Vine City community. Next slide, please, Michelle. The lease purchase bond program, that's a larger incentive that we do, which incentivizes developers on the back end. It just kind of assists with some of their property taxes for a short term. It's not a long term. It's about a 10-year funding incentive. And then, of course, we have the Atlanta Beltline Affordable Housing Trust Fund, which was created to encourage developers and to incentivize affordable housing in that area, because I know if you guys know any or hear even just listening to the TV and the news, how expensive it is to either purchase a home or to even develop around the Beltline now as it continues to grow. So we have a couple of incentives geared to that, which is the affordable housing and then the Beltline TAD. And then, of course, the last one that I'll talk about is some other incentives that was created with the Eastside TAD and the Westside TAD. These are just some other incentives that we have that can do affordable housing and also commercial development. And with that, Michelle, if I'm not mistaken, are we taking questions at the end? If so, I am going to transfer my time over to my colleague, Jennifer Fine, to talk about our tax allocation districts.
Yes, we are going to go at the end. Thank you, Vicki.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Jennifer.
Talking while muted. All right. Good evening, everybody. Again, I'm Jennifer Fine. I'm going to try to give a pretty high level overview of the city's tax allocation districts, what they are, what they aren't, what they can fund, what they can't fund. Because as Vicki said, we're going to do a deeper dive into our financing tools at another session. But TAD can get pretty technical, so I'll get into a little bit of that, maybe to whet your appetite. If we have some questions, I'm happy to answer them. But just know we'll definitely go deeper when we have more time. So leading up to the 1996 Olympics, Summer Olympics, Atlanta created its first TAD, the Westside TAD, in 1992. So TADs in Georgia, all TADs in Georgia, not just the city of Atlanta TADs, are controlled or regulated by Georgia Redevelopment Powers Act. That allows the cities to establish an area as underserved or blighted to create a tax allocation district. And redevelopment costs are contributed by the expenditure of actual increases in property taxes that are generated. We call this the increment. I'll describe that a little bit more in a second. Or through the issuance of bonds, which are then backed by the anticipated increase in property taxes. So if there's one thing you learn about TADs tonight, it's just that it's a tool that uses increased property tax collections as a way to incentivize redevelopment projects in those districts. Invest Atlanta is the city's designated redevelopment agent. We have our own board of directors, which includes a representative from the taxing jurisdictions, specifically because of this TAD function. So we have representatives on our board from Fulton County, from the city of Atlanta, and from the Atlanta Public Schools. And Invest Atlanta manages all of the city's TAD programs. Next slide, please, Michelle. So I just quickly want to articulate the funding restrictions of TADs, because TAD funding cannot fund all types of things. It's very specific about what's allowed and what's not allowed. And so one thing that's absolute is that the increment, these increased tax revenues or bond proceeds that are generated in a specific TAD, those proceeds can only then be reinvested within that same TAD. There can't be any commingling of funds between TADs. Again, each state in the country has its own equivalent of the Redevelopment Powers Act, and there's different rules. So in some states, you can, say, for example, have funds from the West Side TAD that funds a project in the Campbellton TAD. In Georgia, that absolutely can't happen. I get asked that question a lot. And then also the bigger thing for us is to make sure everybody is aware that TAD funds can really only be used for capital expenses, bricks and sticks, as we say, not operations or overhead. So physical real estate and or development. Next slide, please, Michelle. All right, so this is one of the more technical slides, and we'll get into this in more detail at the next session. But again, just to kind of explain what this is conveying, and I think you'll all probably have a copy of this presentation, so you can digest this at your will. But a lot of people think that a TAD incentive is a property tax break or a freeze to a developer or a property owner in some way, and that's not the case at all. And so what the slide's really trying to illustrate is how a TAD generates tax increment that can be used to help fund projects. Sorry, I just had something pop up on my screen. There we go. So all properties within a TAD at the creation of the TAD. So in the West Side TAD example that I mentioned in 1992, all of that property within each of those TADs has an assessed value. So that value stays constant through the life of the TAD. And typically TADs are around for 25 to 35 years. It's really up to the taxing jurisdiction, the city, to make that determination. So property owners continue to pay their property taxes just as normal property taxpayers do year over year. And then those proceeds are collected by the taxing jurisdictions. Again, the city, the county, and sometimes the Atlanta Public Schools. Again, they have to opt in, and sometimes Atlanta Public Schools doesn't opt into a TAD. So over time, as property is redeveloped and values increase, so do tax collections. And so this increase in the collection above that base value is what we call the tax increment. And it's those funds that go into a special fund, if you will, that are then used to create programs to fund projects and or pay down debt. So again, it's the property owners themselves continue to pay taxes, as they increase. It's just the difference in the tax value from the time the TAD was created to year over year. That difference goes into a special fund. That special fund is then can be used to pay down debt in a TAD, bond debt, or to fund projects. So next slide, please. So this is a pretty easy graphic map that shows where all of the city's 10 TADs are. So you can see pretty spatially all over the city of Atlanta is what I'm trying to say. And two of the TADs we consider to be substantially complete. They have served their purpose, and so we no longer have open programs in Atlantic Station and Princeton Lakes, and so all of the increment that is accumulating is going to be used to pay down existing debt, and then those TADs will then sunset. Next slide, please. So this slide really conveys the wide variety of ways that Invest Atlanta uses TAD dollars. And Atlanta really is nationally recognized, not just kind of tooting our own horn legitimately at conferences and things that we go to. We get lots of requests from people from out of state wanting to understand how we do our TAD programming, because it is very unique in the variety and creativity that we have to be able to leverage other funding to assist all different types of development projects. It is very unique. So we have applications and funding opportunities, again, in all of our TADs, with the exception of Atlantic Station and Princeton Lakes, which we're very, very proud of. We have some TADs that don't generate nearly as much increment as others, and it's taken a long time through several recessions for them to have enough funding to really open programs that will help us incentivize small business improvement projects specifically. And we regularly assess our programs and modify them and create new programs to really address needs in the different TADs. So we try to be responsive in that regard and are always, always on the lookout to how we can leverage these dollars in the most effective way. Next slide, please, Michelle. Thank you. So I think I only have 2 more slides, just to kind of give high-level overview of the types of projects we've been able to fund since TADs were first created in the city of Atlanta. So again, since first TAD creation way back in 92, and we probably didn't start funding projects until 96. But we've used TAD financing to leverage over $9 billion in private development. So we've used about 700 million in TAD funds to leverage 9 billion in private development. So a pretty incredible return on investment. Big projects, big mixed use projects, big multifamily tower projects, office towers, shopping centers, cultural institutions like National Center for Civil and Human Rights, as well as, public amenities, open space, trails, fire station, very much focused on neighborhood oriented, community improving amenities. We really would like to direct and deploy TAD dollars, TAD dollars there. Next slide, please. And so this slide really just trying to convey that these are, several of our more recently funded projects, really just wanting to show the range in size and scale and just, again, location throughout the city. That TAD is a very malleable kind of tool that can fund, again, like Katherine Johnston Memorial Park in the West Side TAD, a park in partnership with the city and organizations like Park Pride, to the Goodwill Training Center that is brand new on Metropolitan Parkway, to our small business improvement grant that we recently funded. So all of those programs are open now, and we'll continue to modify them and create new ones, as funding is available and there's need. So I think that's it for me and TAD, Michelle.
Thank you so much, Jennifer.
No problem.
This is what I have the pleasure of introducing Mr. Lonnie Sabor and Ms. Cynthia Freeman from our Small Business Development team.
All right, thank you, Michelle. Appreciate it. And thank you also, Jennifer. And so next slide, please. So what I want to do is, people say, Lonnie, why you got so many doggone programs? And the answer to that is really simple, is that we have so many different businesses in the city of Atlanta, located in different places all over the city. So we try to design our programs to really address the needs of all the small businesses in the Atlanta community, business community. And so these programs, as you see, when I go over all these programs today, that you'll see that there's a specific need and that addresses a lot of these programs for a specific type of business, and some are going to be general. But we've never met, as they say, Lonnie Sabor has never met a program he didn't like to bring back to this business community in the city of Atlanta. And let me start with one of our newest ones, which is the Atlanta Micro Enterprise Loan Fund. This used to be called the Street Vending Program. The city asked us to convert this into a kind of a larger scale program that would be able to assist more vending businesses in the city of Atlanta. So it is available for permitted street vendors in the city of Atlanta only. Right now, up to $5,000 at 0% interest rate with no application fee, no loan closing costs, and it also provides a 6-month loan deferment before the first loan payment is due. Funds can assist you with purchasing additional or existing vending carts you might have in your business, also food carts, kiosks, and also complements it with terms of looking at the ordinances related to these vending ordinances for the city of Atlanta. Funds can also be used for inventory, working capital, and now even technical assistance. And that's really a new component of that financing available right now. Requested applications should be made directly to members of Invest Atlanta Small Business Team, myself and Cynthia Freeman. At the end of my short presentation today, you will see our contact information. All of our other programs will be program requests will be going through a portal called Neighborly. But for this program here, since the amount of money is so small, we're trying to get that directly sent to us. We'll take a chance of looking at the information that you're requesting, the finance you're requesting, to get that approved through our credit review committee as soon as possible. The second program, the Atlanta Forward Loan Fund, provides financial assistance to small businesses and startup companies located within incubators, accelerators, co-workspace facilities in the city of Atlanta. Finance is available for between $5,000 and $20,000 at a fixed interest rate of 2%. And let me add this too: all of our loan products are going to be at fixed rates, and you're going to also see they're going to be at very low interest rates. We've been doing that for a number of years. And the funds can be used for equipment, furniture, working capital, and inventory. Now, the next program I want to talk about is Community Loan Fund. The Community Loan Fund provides funds to existing companies in the city of Atlanta who have previously attended a technical assistance organization in the city of Atlanta, or who agree to attend a technical assistance program in the city of Atlanta if their loan gets approved by a credit review committee. City Council just really approved that change as recently as last week, as a matter of fact. And so funds from $10,000 to $50,000 are available at a fixed interest rate of 3%, with up to $30,000. And this is one of the real benefits of this program. Up to $30,000 can be made available to you to pay off high interest rate debt. Funds can be used also for acquisition of buildings, renovation, equipment, furniture, fixtures, inventory, and working capital. Now, our next program, the Business Improvement Loan Fund program, I call this the godfather of our programs. The program was established during the Maynard Jackson administration back in the 70s. Invest Atlanta took it over in 1981. And it's been one of our most active programs. And we financed hundreds of businesses just by this one program by itself in various communities and in the city of Atlanta. So this program is here to support revitalization of targeted business districts in low, moderate income census tracts in the city of Atlanta. Up to $50,000 is currently made available at an interest rate between 1 and 4% fixed rate for building acquisition, renovation, equipment, furniture, fixtures, working capital, and inventory. Now, there is a $20,000 max on any type of working capital request you want to finance this particular program. Now, as I mentioned, we're always looking for opportunities. So back in the mid-90s, we approached the Economic Development Administration, EDA, to get some additional funds. And we were able to come up with the Phoenix Fund program, which, unlike the Business Improvement Loan Fund program, is geared toward low-moderate areas. The Phoenix program is citywide. You can be anywhere in the city of Atlanta, Hollywell, Old Bankhead, you could be in Buckhead and still qualify for financing from the Phoenix Loan program. The financing right now ranges between $10,000 and $100,000, interest rate between 1 and 3% at a fixed rate, and funds can be used for property acquisition, renovation, equipment, furniture, fixtures, working capital, and inventory as well, this particular program. Next slide, please, Michelle. So this slide here gives you a continuation of our loan programs. And so the first one here is Atlanta Cares Revolving Loan Fund. This is between $10,000 and $100,000 of financing. This is also a program affiliated with EDA. Rates are set between 1 and 3% at a fixed rate on that. And it kind of mirrors the other programs, and it's also citywide. So what we do when you apply for financing from Invest Atlanta, we listen to what you're trying to do, and we can help you decide which one of these programs we have might best fit what you're seeking in terms of financial opportunities. The next one is actually our newest program, which is going to be launched really in June of this year. The Atlanta Recovery Loan Fund, between $25,000 and $100,000 we made available. That's a new fund where it's gonna be capitalized by $5 million of new money. And we have a period of 3 years to deploy that money out. You'll be hearing much more about that in the upcoming months, about that program, the impact it's gonna have and can have across Atlanta. It's gonna be the only program we have in place right now, as I talk about our loan programs. It will allow a certain percentage of the nonprofits that also qualify for finance for the program, but also some home-based businesses can also qualify for the financing too. If you've been in business for at least 2 years or longer, potentially that fund will be available for you. But just keep your ears open for more information about that particular new program we're going to be setting up. And it's going to cover all types of financing in terms of acquisition of commercial property, renovation, equipment, furniture, fixtures, working capital, inventory, all going to be eligible items to be used for the fund. The next program is Atlanta Catalyst Fund. And as I mentioned, we're always looking for opportunities to figure out a way to create new programs for the great businesses in the city of Atlanta. Now, this is part of our new Amy project financing, which is a survey of Best Atlanta. And this phone program here provides finance between $50,000 and $100,000 of financing. But actually, that should be, actually the max right now is $50,000. We can go up to that later. But the financing right now allows us to be able to really assist businesses in certain low-mod areas like the Business Improvement Loan Fund program is itself, but it allows you to actually be able to grow and expand your business and be able to use the money for a variety of reasons that is eligible expenditures for the program. The Opportunity Loan Fund, that's also a program that provides financing right now up to for $100,000, has to be matched by at least another $100,000 in outside finance. And that could be new equity money you put into the project. It could be other bank conventional financing you're going to be using to actually go ahead and finance the project to a certain extent where you can leverage the money that we have. And it also requires you to be pretty much in a already established basis with your business, and you'll be adding on a new management team and top management levels of personnel, have in place a retirement package and health insurance coverage package for those new managers you plan to add to your team. And so that program is available as well for those of you who might be at sort of like a mid-range level and want to expand your operation. Several years ago, the empowerment zone was set up by the city of Atlanta, pretty much back in the 90s during the Clinton administration. We were able, right around 2010 or so, to get some money from the city to establish the Empowerment Zone Loan Fund. So this program here is available to assist you with financing between right now $25,000 to $50,000 in financing, interest rate between 0% to prime plus 2% as a fixed rate on that. And those funds can also be used to assist you with acquiring commercial property, renovation, equipment, furniture, fixtures, working capital, and inventory. Now, those of you who might be seeking financing to actually buy commercial property, I highly recommend the SBA 504 debenture program, especially if you plan to buy commercial property and you really don't plan to occupy the entire space itself. But as long as you occupy at least 51% of the space, this program here is the only program that's financed through the Small Business Administration, allows you to be a business operator and also a speculative investor at the same time. And we recently financed a project in downtown Atlanta. It's about $3.5 million project in which they were able to get financing from us. We brought the bank to the table and the CDC to the table to actually bring the financing together. So normally the bank does 50%, the Certified Development Corporation, CDC, does 40%, as 10% equity injection. So the SBA recognizes money from our programs with the city of Atlanta as a form of subordinated debt equity. So we can help you meet that 10% requirement on the project. But the good news is that you can lease it out to the other 49% of the space if that's going to be made available to you. And in this case, I'm going to give with this one project we did downtown, they end up selling the business, selling the location when they relocated out the building about 5 years later for $7.2 million. So they turned a $3.5 million investment into $7.2 million after 5 years. So that's a great program. Next slide, please. Well, is Cynthia still on? Cynthia Freeman still on? I was gonna bring her into some of this.
Yes, I'm still on.
Okay, you want to go through this slide here, Cynthia?
Yes, I can go through.
Okay, all right.
Hello, everyone. Each year, we kind of track what we do here at Invest Atlanta for our small business programs. And this slide gives you an idea of what we've done over the last so many years, 20 years. Between 2001 and 2022, Invest Atlanta has closed over 330 loans, and we have given out about a little over $18 million in loans, leveraging $62 million. And we have different businesses in many different sectors. We finance the industries. We do a lot of the food service industries. We do a lot of salons, personal care industry, the healthcare industry. We do a lot of transportation, manufacturing. Next slide. Between 2020 and 2021, which we were in the midst of COVID, we created a very special loan program called the Business Continuity Loan Fund. And during that period, we were able to fund, I think, about 70 companies who were struggling via COVID. So combined 2020 and 2021, we loaned 86 companies over close to $4 million in loans for project costs of close to $5 million. We covered over 14 industries, and we covered all of the different council districts. Next slide. We also finance franchises. So this is a slide with all of the different franchises we've financed. And if you can see, there's some well-known ones: Burger King, Midas, Wendy's. We financed the Wendy's, the first Wendy's here in Atlanta. Popeyes, the Popeyes at the airport, the #1 Popeyes in the world. We financed that Popeyes as well. We did a couple of Subways, Ace Hardware, Arby's. And so as you can see, if you're thinking about getting a franchise, or if you have a franchise and you need some funding, we're here to help you in that area as well. Next slide. In 2021, we did some community outreach. We do it every year, but because of COVID, we had a special year that year. We did about 12 offsite seminars touching almost 600 participants. And we have an online presentation now where you can just click of the button, you can see our seminar online, and we had over 520 views of that seminar. Between the two of us, Lonnie and myself, we touched almost 700 persons via telephone or in-person consultations. So if you're thinking about getting funding, don't feel that you're out there alone. Lonnie and I are here to offer consultation to you to at least get you to the point where you can actually submit an application, because without an application, you can't get a loan. So that's one of the most important things you need to think about as you're thinking about funding your business. Next slide. And as Lonnie mentioned to you earlier, this is the team, Lonnie and myself, a 2-man-woman team, but we do a lot of work. So if you need to talk to us, if you need some additional information concerning our small business programs, or if you just want to find out how to get started, this is our contact information. You can call us, email us, or you can go to investatlanta.com/smallbusinesses and get all the information you need to get a small business loan through Invest Atlanta. Next slide. And that's it for the small business team. Again, thank you for listening. And if you're interested, do not hesitate reaching out to us and getting more information and getting started. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cynthia. Thank you, Mr. Lonnie. Up next is Melody Eccles.
Hey, good evening, everyone. It's great to be here with you all and share a little bit about what Invest Atlanta is up to, what we're working on. I manage our American Rescue Plan programming. The American Rescue Plan is a $350 billion national program focused on COVID relief and response efforts to support economic restabilization and community efforts, small business, workforce development, getting us back to that new normal. So the city of Atlanta received a portion of those federal funds, and of the funds that they received, they allocated 24.7 million of that to Invest Atlanta to program out to support some of our small business and workforce development efforts. So I'm going to share some information, touch a little bit on two programs that we have available right now, specifically for small businesses within the city. If you want to go to the next slide, Michelle. Great. So first, this is hot topic for me, the Resurgence Grant Fund. We initially launched the Resurgence Grant Fund back in 2020, utilizing CARES Act funding, the first round of COVID relief funding. And with the American Rescue Plan Act funds, we were able to relaunch this program. It provides reimbursable grants up to $40,000 for qualifying small businesses and now nonprofits who are located in the city of Atlanta. The first round of this program was not open for nonprofits in the city, but with new Treasury guidelines, we are able to include nonprofits in this round. So we're excited about that. Again, it's reimbursable grants. We can cover costs incurred from March 3rd, 2021 until the time they submit their application. So over a year's worth of funding. Applications are open now. They opened on March 1st and they will remain open until 5 p.m. on April 29th. So we're in the home stretch, just over 2 weeks left to get applications in. We can cover expenses specific to COVID, anything that a business had to purchase because of COVID, PPE, we could, gloves, masks, hand sanitizer, any sort of professional disinfection, any sort of implementation tactics that a business has had to do to adhere to COVID guidelines, if they've had to, kind of reconfigure their space to allow for social distancing, or if they've had to bring their business online. We've seen a lot of businesses just have to pivot their model and have to make investment in order to do that. So we are able to reimburse some of those costs. We're also able to reimburse for payroll and commercial rent spaces. So with, again, over a year's worth of timing available to reimburse businesses and nonprofits for, and just a bunch of different type of expenses that we can reimburse. There's tons of information. I unfortunately don't have the time tonight to go into detail of everything, but there is so much information on our website. If you go to investatlanta.com, it's one of the top links at the homepage. It brings you to the Resurgence landing page. You can find a program overview that dives into the eligibility requirements, the required documentation list. If you want to download the documents directly from that page, you can do that. They're also located on the application. There's a link to the application on there. We also utilize the Neighborly platform that Lonnie mentioned. There's an FAQ document. There's recorded webinars. We have a live chat feature. We're trying to be super accessible and answer any questions we can. We know that businesses are they're super nuanced in the sort of things that they have to purchase, especially during these times. So there's lots of just detailed questions that come about, and we're happy to answer, happy to respond. We have a customer service email specifically for questions regarding the Resurgence Grant Program. It's resurgence@investatlanta.com. I myself monitor that, and I do my best to clear it out every couple of days. So I really do encourage people to send any questions there. If it's detailed, if it maybe warrants a phone call, happy to jump on the phone and chat. We also have a Resurgence hotline that our application processors are just manning the phone throughout the day. That's better for just kind of quick questions if you can't find a document, if you can't figure out where a link is or things like that, call the hotline for. But anything more detailed, send me an email and I'm happy to answer. We're reviewing applications as they come in. It's not first come, first serve, but just the sooner you get an application in, it just starts the process for you, the business owner, and our processors to, kind of go back and forth. the application's maybe missing something, if there's clarification needed on a question, then just allows for that communication. But once the application closes on April 29th, all applications that have been submitted will be reviewed for eligibility and making sure that all the documentation is there. Again, if there's anything missing, we'll reach out to the applicant directly. Once all applications have been determined for eligibility, they'll all be scored based on a scoring matrix that utilizes different priorities for the American Rescue Plan Act, for the city, and really just trying to determine how the businesses have been impacted by COVID. The goal really is to, use these funds, grant these funds out to businesses who really need them the most. We have limited funding. It's about a $10 million fund, so it's a little more than half than last round. So we're expecting it to be a little competitive. So if you have a business and you plan to apply, or if you know a business owner who plans to apply, I would really just advise that you're thoughtful in answering some of the narrative type questions. That's where we'll be judging the impact that COVID had on your business. So just spending a little bit of time really giving us a clear picture so that our scoring committee can judge that accordingly. So that's the Resurgence Grant Fund. Again, any questions at all, please shoot me an email, and I'm happy to talk further on that. Michelle, you want to go to the next slide? So the next program is our ATL and Business program. This is all focused on technical assistance for small businesses and nonprofits in the city. In the first round of the Resurgence Grant Fund, if any of you on the line are familiar, we had a technical assistance component to it, where Resurgence grantees could access up to $10,000 worth of technical assistance, essentially until the technical assistance providers just tapped out of capacity. We saw that it was very attractive, and we tapped out of capacity pretty quickly. And there was need for more technical assistance, especially even since then, over the past year and a half. We're just continuing to see businesses having to adapt, having to pivot, and then just need a little bit of help. They don't have the capacity to do it all themselves. They need a little bit of guidance. So we are utilizing over $3 million worth of our American Rescue Plan funds to launch ATL in Business. And we officially launched it last month, but it's still kind of getting off the ground, up and running. But it's really kind of our one-stop shop for all businesses. What we've done is we've created an online portal that can be used to connect small business owners and nonprofit organizations with business consultants for one-on-one, no-cost services. So again, we're paying for the business consultants. It's at no cost to the business. There's a wide range of services available. They range from, finance, marketing, HR, legal, web development, business planning, business model canvas. It really just runs the gamut. We have 13 different business consultants available to work with small businesses and nonprofits. A broader kind of aspect of this program is really just trying to meet businesses and organizations and startups, entrepreneurs, just kind of where is convenient for them. So we're launching different hubs throughout the city, focusing on the south side. So we can have an Invest Atlanta presence at different locations throughout the city. It can be a spot for small businesses to access an Invest Atlanta team member, and can also be a spot for a business owner or a startup or entrepreneur to meet with one of our business consultants. So we have space at Pittsburgh Yards currently. We have space at the Mary Parker Foundation, the Russell Center, iVillage. We'll have space at the Goodwill of North Georgia Job Training Center on Metropolitan. So we're trying to be accessible. And we have a separate email address account for this program as well to direct all questions relating to this program. If you shoot an email to atlandbusiness@investatlanta.com. We have dedicated team members specifically working on this program and are just here to help. You can also visit atlandbusiness.com, and it has a landing page with some information and a link to that sort of portal where a small business owner can connect with a consultant. Michelle, if you go to the next slide, I think I have all the consultants there. Yeah, so we have 13 different business consultants. These were competitively procured through an RFP process last year. Again, you can see they range from so many different services available, and I just want to keep stressing it's free to the business, no cost to the business. As long as they're located within the city of Atlanta, we're here to help. So that's it for me. Again, any questions? I saw a question come in about dropping the info in the chat, so definitely do that and make sure that you have all information to contact us if needed.
Thank you so much, Melody. Maya, are you ready?
Yes. I will go ahead and get started. It's hard to follow up after some pretty good acts, but thanks, Michelle, and thanks, Melody. So I will be sharing today about state opportunity zones, not to be confused with federal opportunity zones. We're a little bit different, but just as fun. Michelle, next slide, please. Awesome. So there are over 15 designated opportunity zones just within the city of Atlanta. It doesn't stop in the city of Atlanta. There are, of course, many throughout the entire state of Georgia, but we have, just as many right here in Atlanta. So these opportunity zones are areas that DCA and the local government have designated as places that maybe need a little bit of help with redevelopment, revitalization. So our staff, as well as local partners, work really hard to put in these applications. We go boots on the ground, visit these zones, visit areas where we think can use this incentive or this boost, and we actually apply to have these zones designated. So you might be familiar with some of them: Summerhill, North Avenue, Morris Brown, Fort McPherson. And so the main incentive for them is a tax incentive, a job credit incentive. So you can get $3,500 per job created for up to 5 years. If you're a business and you have 2 employees and you're in one of these zones, that's all you need to do to qualify for this tax credit. So like some other things we do are statutory, or discretionary. This, as long as you meet the qualifications, you're eligible for this tax incentive. So I encourage you to go to DCA's website, just searching your address just for fun, and see if you're in an opportunity zone. You don't have to do anything extra. It's a 1-page application, and you send it to us and we send it to DCA, and there you go. You have $17,500 just for 5 seconds of work. Next page, Michelle, please. So the main goal for the opportunity zone is for us to begin to see that revitalization. There are ways that you can renew an opportunity zone, but of course the end goal is for us to not even have that opportunity zone there anymore, because we've been doing so much work. We've seen the economic development, we've seen the community development, we've seen the growth in the community. So some pretty big projects that have happened in currently active opportunity zone is Publix. I don't know if you know, but there's a Publix coming to Summerhill. So previously, sorry, my AC is out, so I'm outside today. So previously there was an opportunity zone designated in 2010 for Summerhill, and they last up to 10 years. And they've been doing the work, they've been developing, Center Park Stadium is now there, 565 Hank is there, and a bunch of other residential developments are coming. So this is kind of what you want to see when you designate one of these opportunity zones, is that growth. And anyone who moves in this area would be eligible for that tax credit. Another big thing that's happened for us this year is the renewal of the downtown opportunity zone. So on the right-hand side, you'll see the map that was approved by DCA, and parcels, the green parcels, is what consists of the opportunity zone. So any business located in that zone can apply for that tax credit and receive it for up to 5 years. And so some other things we have on the slide are Centennial Yard. And something I'm pretty excited about is Lee and White Street. They've announced a new food hall that's coming there. So all of the restaurants and all of the businesses that are going into this new Lee and White food hall would be eligible for this opportunity zone tax credit. So like I said earlier, if you're in one of these zones, it's a great tax incentive where it's pretty much free money for you. And I'm the last one, so I wanted to make it short and sweet, but Michelle, I think that's it for me.
Thank you so much, Maya. Thank you, everybody. This is our question and answer part. Samantha? Are you there?
I am. We have a couple of questions. So right now, if you all have any questions that you actually typed in the chat that you would like to be raised at this moment, you can use the raise your hand chat feature. And let me see. Well, I'll ask this one on behalf of Adrienne Perkins. She was asking, in this virtual working environment, how will you verify the area? What if I do work in one of these areas and have a virtual registered agent or address? And I believe this is in regards to the last discussion about I believe the TADs.
This is Jennifer. I'm not sure if that's a question related to TADs or.
No,
an
it wasn't.
opportunity-
It's Adrienne. Sorry. It was more so about opportunity zones.
Yeah.
So I have a virtual working address and registered agent, and I'm registered in the state of Georgia, but not necessarily tied to a physical location in Atlanta.
Thanks, Adrienne, for your question. So this specific tax incentive is usually for a brick and mortar. So your physical address would have to be in that opportunity zone. So DCA actually goes and verifies that you're located within those physical parcels.
Okay, I am getting a direct message from Carnegie. Are there any projects slated for ML King near I-285 Adamsville? This question is for Maya regarding projects and job creations. You're muted. Wait.
Sorry, I'm losing my mouse. I'm not quite sure for future projects regarding opportunity zones, if there's anything slated for MLK.
Okay. All right, let's see. Please feel free to raise your hand so I don't have to necessarily scroll through because I am scrolling to my heart's content. Okay. Well, I think that's it. So do we not have any more questions? Let me unmute. Hey.
Hi there, how are you?
Awesome sauce. Go right ahead.
Okay, so I wanted to go back to the question for Maya regarding, I think she said it was the opportunity zones. And so I noticed like with the Publix, I believe that was Summerhill. I wasn't clear on how.
You're muted. There you go.
Decide in those particular areas.
You went out a little bit, so I missed the main part of your question.
Okay, I had a call that was trying to interrupt us. I wasn't clear on how the projects that fall within your particular guideline, such as the Publix in Summerhill, and those are some major projects, and there just hasn't been anything in Northwest or Southwest Atlanta like that. How are those projects decided?
So that's not a decision that Invest Atlanta typically makes. It's really up to, the developers and the property owners, how they choose their location or where they want to be and who's the developer for that area. But I know the first opportunity zone, the one active we have right now that's in the Southwest is Ian White. So that's one of the big projects that's coming up, is that food hall and is Monday Night Garage and a bunch of breweries down there. So the tool is just an incentive. It's not so much like we're working directly with the developers to get them to come there, but it's used to encourage attraction to that area and to encourage businesses and homeowners to come to that area. So it's not so much we have a partnership to select certain businesses, but it's just an attraction feature.
Thank you.
M. John Jones.
My question was basically how to better the city of Atlanta. I wanted to start a MLK tax allocation district. And according to Jennifer Fine, the tax allocation district for the City of Atlanta Development Authority, Invest Atlanta, began in 1992. And I think they can only allow 7 at one time and whatnot. So you told me that the Atlantic Station tax allocation district was expiring along with one other. And then I was wondering, what's the process of actually developing and creating a new MLK tax allocation authority so that we can better the quality of life of the residents of Atlanta? Specifically, you mentioned capital investments, but I'm not sure, I'm pretty sure I can get the state of Georgia and city of Atlanta to pitch in with like creating, double sidewalks up and down MLK, starting from Fulton Industrial, as well as going to the ending at Oakland Cemetery. And having police cameras from the Atlanta Police Department, as well as nice lighting. So, but we want to create capital investments that will basically, let's say if we had $100 million in the MLK tax allocation district fund, that we could leverage about, $2 billion or whatnot.
So thank you for that. There's a lot in that question and comment. So one piece of good news is there are going to be security cameras and some other safety improvements in certain areas along MLK, because we do have the Hollowell MLK tax allocation district that covers a large area, but definitely a large swath of MLK. So creating a new TAD. So the city's not limited. Cities in Georgia aren't limited in the number of TADs they can create. The limiting factor is the amount of assessed tax value that a jurisdiction has within its TADs. So by state law, you can only have 10% of a taxing jurisdiction, in this case, the city of Atlanta's property tax assessed value within a TAD when they're created. So at this point in time, with all 10 of the TADs, we're at about 16% or so, which is fine. At the time they were created, it was no more than 10. So, several of the much larger TADs would have to, be closed or sunset before the city would be in a position to even contemplate creating a new TAD. So Atlantic Station and Princeton Lakes would decrease that a little bit, but not nearly enough to get it to well below that 10%. So at that point in time, we're really talking about needing, say, like the Beltline TAD, which has a lifespan through only to 2030. So that's, in less than 8 years, because that's the largest TAD by far in terms of assessed value. So that's the limiting factor, is the percentage of assessed value within a TAD to create a TAD. So at the point in time where the city is well below that threshold, then the city could entertain the idea of creating a new TAD somewhere else in the city. Could be the area that you're talking about as well.
Okay, Mr. Ray Culpepper, can you unmute yourself?
Good evening, everybody. I kind of have two questions. One is a simple question. I was just curious about whatever happened to that Creative Industries Fund. And the other question would be probably for Lonnie, for me and him to speak privately about. I just leased a retail space right next to a young man who got funding from you guys a few years ago. I think it's called Yaz Cookies. I just leased a spot right next door to him, and I'm in the process of putting my business in that area, in the Reynoldstown area. And I wanted to know about getting funding for that as well, for equipment and things of that nature. But we could talk about that probably privately, Lonnie and Cynthia. But I still want to know about the Creative Industries Fund too. I was interested in that as well, because I do filmmaking on the side.
Yeah, I can speak on the Creative Industry Fund right now is going through the process of being converted to an actual grant program. And so Invest Atlanta is going through the process of evaluating that and seeing how we can kind of make that happen. But that's where it is right now. So we'll stay in contact. We'll keep you updated on that, on the progress of that, though.
Okay.
Now, for your second question, I think we're more than happy to process your application for the expansion over there by Yaz. And they're doing great over there.
Yeah, I see that. I'm very proud of what he came up with. It looks great. And we just leased a spot. Me and my sister just leased a space right next door. It was open. We just jumped on it. And I'm about to put one of my online businesses over there. We're gonna finally have a storefront for it. And I'm excited about it. But I don't have the funding to get, a lot of the support that I need as far as getting equipment, gondolas and shelves and everything. I've been talking with China and stuff all week and trying to get stuff sent over here. And I see that's very expensive. So I need some help.
All right, then we're here to help you.
All right, I heard. That's what I like.
Okay, all right.
Awesome. Okay. Khalifa Lee, do you want to just ask your question, Khalifa? Does that Hollowell TAD come down to Adamsville?
Sorry, I was muted again. Let me I'll pull up the map real quick. I'll look at it and I'll update the chat.
And Khalifa also was asking, how can we extend the opportunity zones to Fulton Industrial and Fairburn Road?
Sure. So I'm not sure that all of Fulton Industrial is within the city of Atlanta limits. It might have an Atlanta address, but I don't know if it's all the way in the city of Atlanta. But I think maybe part of Fairburn Road might be, but that's something that staff works at daily. So we're going out in the community and searching for areas that are in need of commercial revitalization. So it's great that you bring it to our attention. So that gives us a chance to do our research, do our homework, and potentially put together an application for those areas. So now that it's on our radar, that's something that we can look into.
Okay, this question is from Derek Henderson. What is the best way to proceed when looking to develop multifamily units and or building co-working spaces, specifically art-based, film, photography, or production spaces?
I guess that would be me. There's different avenues. First is engaging us and having the conversation going online, and kind of, if you already have a site in mind, if you already kind of know what you're going to develop, you can go online into Neighborly and answer some preliminary questions. We'll set up a call with you to talk to you about it, to kind of see which is the best incentive to assist you with that.
Thank
And
you.
I don't know who I'm talking to, so I apologize. Was that Derek?
Derek Henderson.
Yes, Derek. So that's the best way to do it.
This question is from Maria Sotnikova. Can you talk more about home ownership incentives?
Michelle, can you take the?
I can.
Michelle wears two hats in this conversation.
I think I'm still the honorary home ownership member, but I absolutely love still talking about it. Our home ownership or home buyer incentives actually help home buyers with their down payment and closing costs. We have 6 programs that help with that. There's a little something for everyone. 2 that are compatible with renovation loans, which in this type of market may be helpful. If owners are happy to sell as is, it's an opportunity to shop a little differently when you have a renovation loan, and we help with the down payment with those loans. There are, again, 6 of them. We have Q&A sessions every month. We just had one last night, but the next one is going to be, it's the second Wednesday of every month, okay? So happy to drop the information in the chat so that you can go directly to our home ownership page on our website. And also happy to leave my contact information in case you want to reach out and talk about what you think you may need and what you're ready for in terms of home ownership. But we definitely have help with down payment and closing costs in the city of Atlanta. I hope that helps.
Okay, Ms. Scott. I'm unmuting you. I'm attempting to unmute you. Ms. Scott, are you? Okay.
I just unmuted myself.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I was talking too. I'm interested in getting more information about the Mary Parker Foundation. It was stated that there is a location or will be a location there. One Invest Atlanta as one of the satellites. Is that in operation now? And if so, what are the hours?
So that is a great question. And we are in the process of kind of finalizing and outfitting our space there. On paper, yes, we have the agreement signed, so in operation, but we're still working out the office hours, which we will send out to you guys, make sure everyone is aware, post them on our website, post them at Mary Parker, the location itself. So the goal is to be there at least 3 days a week, having someone there all day. We'll communicate those office hours as they get finalized. So probably more information by the end of the month, early mid next month. So just know we're finalizing that, but we're getting close.
One other question in relation to the Atlanta in Business program, and if I'm remembering correctly, because I did not take good notes, is that you do work with nonprofit organizations, and would that include communities, neighborhood organization that may come up with a nonprofit entity?
So we do support nonprofits. There is some compliance documentation that the nonprofit organization would have to provide. So we would have to see their IRS determination letter, either their business license or letter of good standing. You know, a lot of nonprofits don't typically obtain their business license, so we can get a letter of good standing to confirm that they are in compliance with the city. So depending on how that neighborhood organization is structured in relation to the nonprofit, and if they could show those sort of compliance documents, then potentially just would have to dig more into how the organization is set up.
So would the best practice be to have an initial conversation before you start any of the paperwork to understand which direction you may need to go in?
That's exactly right. Yeah. So the way that the portal is set up now is you can go onto atlnbusiness.com. You can see what business consultants we have available. You can kind of shop around, if you will, and see which one you'd like to work with and reach out to them. They'll come back to you within a week and you'll set up a 15-minute consultation. In that 15 minutes, you'll kind of talk about, you know, what services you're looking for, kind of determine if it's a good fit, go over if your organization would be eligible. Once you've had that consultation and have determined that you would be eligible, then we'll ask for that compliance documents. So yeah, exactly right. Have an initial consultation with a business consultant first.
Okay. Just one question as a follow-up to that. Why 15 minutes? Legal referral gives you 30 minutes, even though you pay a fee.
I mean, honestly, the 15 minutes isn't a locked in time. It's just kind of what we've generally said to our business consultants, have at least a 15-minute conversation to determine whether or not it's a good fit. That's not a hard time by any means.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, I just want to say, hey, Miss Scott, this is Vicki.
I was going to speak later. Thank you. And it's nice to hear and see you.
Sam, you're on mute.
All right. I'm sorry. Mrs. Furlow, I was saying you can go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question. And I'm so glad that everyone just is full circle here for everyone. So.
Okay, so I wanted to circle back. I think this might be for Michelle. I noticed that we have stuff as it relates to new home buyer incentives. I was just wondering if there was anything attached to the home buyers that the home owners that are probably a part of that process, that incremental process when those property taxes go up. Is there not something for other homeowners? It appears that you know, we kind of carry the brunt of some things. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Sure. Unfortunately, there isn't a program for homeowners as it relates to help with paying taxes that is citywide. I do know that the West Side Future Fund, and they would have to confirm, at one point, I believe they had something for specific neighborhoods, But again, that organization can confirm whether or not that's a program that is still up and running. Unfortunately, I wish that I could say that there is something that we could do about the rising taxes. I know that some people are sort of resorting to maybe the equity in their home to assist with that. But as of right now, outside of a homestead exemption that you can see about filing with your county, I don't know of a program that's going to assist with the payment of taxes.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I thought I had another question in there. We were just moving so smoothly. I think
I
it may
saw
have-
one that asked about, and this may be Jennifer, please clarify reimbursable grants. It sounds like there's an option.
Yes.
Maybe that's on the TAD.
Yeah.
grant.
Yeah, so tax allocation district financing is a reimbursement tool. So you can be reimbursed for costs incurred for a project. So typically for a TAD project, be it a small project or a large project, there are costs incurred with construction, for example. An awardee could submit a reimbursement requisition to us that then will reimburse them for those eligible expenses that they've already incurred. So it is a cash reimbursement grant. And so probably 98% of the time, that's how the TAD grants are structured. We have been able to leverage TAD dollars in a way that's pretty unique across the country at the small business improvement level. And so we recognize for some of these smaller businesses that we're assisting with these grants, that it's a challenge to float or pay for these expenses and then wait to be reimbursed. That's hard for a lot of us to do. And so in those examples, we can actually use the TAD grant that they receive to pay for those services directly. So the lion's share of TAD grants are reimbursable, right? So you pay for these improvements and then the TAD will reimburse you for those. But primarily for small business improvement grants, we can direct pay for eligible expenses. Say if you're a business owner that you received a $10,000 grant from us to replace your windows, for example, and you you purchased those windows and had them installed, we could directly pay that vendor for those windows. Does that answer your question?
Yes, that is good. And I was also wondering, Mr. Sabor, he also addressed something, I believe, in regards to reimbursable grants. So I wasn't sure, is that different? Is that different? Is that something, is Mr. Sabor still on the line? Can he address that piece? Because I thought I saw it under his portion as well.
Yeah, no, all of our loan programs are actually loan products as opposed to grants. And so we don't currently have that in place in terms of a quote unquote grant program through the loan area. Yeah.
Because I thought under the, let me see, was it the community grant? I thought under one of those business loans, I saw something. That's why I kind of flagged that as well. So
I think we're talking about you could use the loan money we get from the community loan fund. Up to $30,000, you could use that to pay off existing debt, high interest debt you got.
Okay.
It's on a program we have to our disposal that can actually allow you to get money from Invest Atlanta's loan area and use that to pay off existing debt.
Okay.
So if you apply for financing, you need $50,000. You say, well, Lonnie, we got all this high interest debt, 15, 18%, that kind of thing. We allow you to take $30,000 of the 50 you might be getting to pay that off.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're right about that part of it, but it wasn't a grant. It was basically just really giving you money to pay off your existing debt.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you both.
Okay, I have to unmute myself. I have a question from Cynthia Dunderhart, I believe. And she said that Maya Jackson mentioned a development at Morris Brown College. If so, can we hear about what that is? Maya. Oh, she had to. So also in the chat, Maya had to run out. So I would have to take that question to her via.
Samantha, I can answer the question. Do you just mind repeating it?
Oh, so Cynthia asked that you mentioned something about development in Morris Brown. Could you just talk more about that?
Sure. So we just have a designated opportunity zone in Morris Brown. So any businesses who move in that specific designation would be eligible for that tax incentive.
Thank you.
And again, if you go to DCA, they have an interactive map. So if you search the address, you can find all about it there. And you can also just see all of the zones in general.
You said we can find that where, Maya?
This will be on DCA's website. They're the Department of Community Affairs.
Okay.
And they have a page designated to the opportunity zones.
Okay.
Thank you, Maya. Do we have any more questions? Okay. All right. That means we are getting out a little early. But before I allow you all to run and scurry and enjoy this wonderful weather that we are having today before it turns into Atlanta weather, I would like to share about our upcoming courses that we have for NPU University. Our next course we have is our CD 1001 Workforce Development, where we will actually have workforce development come on and talk to you all about everything that they're offering and some of the new things that they have coming up. And then we're back with Invest Atlanta again, and they will be offering information about understanding workforce housing and affordability. So I'm really excited about that. That is going to be Thursday, May 12th at 6 p.m. Sorry to mention the workforce development. Oh, I'm sorry. The workforce development course is Thursday, April 28th. So that's in 2 weeks at 6 p.m. And then our first, well, no, not first, but we will have our P1006, which is a part of our planning track unit, Introduction to Geographic Information series, our GIS course. And that's going to be Thursday, May 26th at 6 p.m. If you would like to find out more information about any of our courses that we are offering, or just any information about the NPU system, we just ask that you can follow us at NPU Atlanta on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And we are also on Nextdoor as well. If we don't have any questions, comments, or anything else, everyone, you all will receive a link, an email link for your participation. And we just ask that you complete that small survey. We want to make sure that our courses are fitting and working for you. So we need your feedback. And we also want to let Invest Atlanta know how awesome of a job that they did as well. So please take that survey. It's only going to take like 2 seconds, I swear. But other than that, you guys, classes, okay, we have one question. How can we convert small businesses and communities from getting loans to getting grants? Khalifa, I think that's yeah, we're gonna.
Well, they're already doing that now. I'm serious about that. Over the last, since the pandemic hit in 2020, it's so much grant money flowing, not just from Invest Atlanta, but I mean, all over the place. So right now, I would say if you're in the city of Atlanta with a business license, the resurgent grant is right here, right now for you, $40,000. Jump on that, and then look around too, as well as other organizations have a lot of grant money out there as well. But I cannot promise you what's going to happen after this year in terms of the whole grant field.
Right, and I would say for small businesses and owners of small commercial buildings or spaces that are in tax allocation districts, we have a small business improvement grant fund open right now. So I would encourage, anyone to look at that. We have the program guidelines and information on our website. But if you or anybody you know is interested, can reach out to us directly, and we can contact you to talk through, whatever opportunities or challenges they might have.
Okay, well, if that is everyone, class is adjourned.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Everybody.
Bye.